Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. Now, many of you may not know this, but just last year, on August 25th of 2016, the National Park Service turned 100 years old, celebrating a century's worth of breathtaking views, towering forests, and picturesque landscapes. And even further, for those of you who haven't heard about this, there is a much darker side to these national forests. And today we are going to touch on a subject that is so mysterious, that is so unsettling, that after hearing it, you will likely never step foot in a national park or a forest ever again. So in today's video, after numerous requests, we are going to touch on the subject of the thousands of unexplained disappearances currently happening in our national forests, both in the United States and Canada, and really all over the world when you really start to look at the stats. Now, many of you may have heard of a man by the name of David Paulides, and if you haven't, let me give you a little bit of a background on him. He was a former law enforcement officer with over 2 decades of law enforcement experience. And in 2009, while doing research in a national park, he struck up a conversation with one of the park rangers there, who began to tell him a fascinating and disconcerting tale about the thousands of people who have gone missing in these national forests. Normal everyday people from every background, race, or age who will walk into the forest one day and moments later be never seen again. And so, of course, this sparked the interest of Mr. Paulides. And what was even more unsettling was that the park ranger he was speaking to indicated to him that there was nothing much being done about this. And so on that day in 2009, Mr. Paulides began his journey of attempting to find out what is causing all of these people every day and every year to go missing. And so he started doing research. He started calling around to all of the various 50+ national parks, scouring through old newspapers for records of disappearances. And what struck him was not only the sheer number of these mysterious disappearances, but the fact that the park rangers and the National Park Service was doing nothing about it. And furthermore, were not even keeping records of these disappearances. Mr. Paulides was once quoted as saying that people disappear in the wilderness all the time, but we're talking about something different here. These are unusual things that don't make sense, and that happen to cluster together in 3 or 4, sometimes as many as 20 to 30 people missing from one location. The individual cases are strange enough, but stranger still were the reactions of federal agencies when he asked for public records. Since even small police departments keep lists of missing persons for their jurisdictions, he figured that a large federal law enforcement agency, like the National Park Service, would do the same. And so when he requested documents through a Freedom of Information Act request, he got a response back that, quote, "We don't keep lists of any missing people." He states that the response from the federal government was not only a no, but a hell no. And so that's when he started putting his lists together that he discovered of what appears to be over 30 clusters of disappearances in national parks or forests, cases which meet a narrow set of odd characteristics. For instance, the people who vanish often do so under the noses of other people, with many of the cases being that of kids who have disappeared while with their parents. And what is so strange and unsettling is that in many of these cases, these children will have been found a phenomenal distance away from the area that they originally disappeared. Some other strange characteristics about these disappearances is that in many cases, never a trace of any of these individuals will be found, but their clothing will be. In one case, a park ranger described that if you were standing straight up and you melted directly into your pants, that is what it looked like, where these clothes will be found lying neatly on the ground in a pile that would signify that the person vanished right out of them. Many of the missing also defy normal search and rescue practices, with bodies being found in places that are all but inaccessible, and in other cases are found in the open, in areas that have already been repeatedly searched earlier. And so today, in the spirit of the Missing 411 book series, I want to share with you guys some of my favorite and really the most unsettling and mysterious disappearances that have occurred in the national parks throughout North America. The first of which being the anomalous disappearance of Joe Keller. Now, Joe Keller was a young guy who had gone on a trip with two of his friends to celebrate his birthday and had visited a Colorado dude ranch where his aunt and uncle lived and worked. And unfortunately, that celebration never happened, where on June 23rd, the day before he turned 19, he disappeared during a run on a well-traveled trail. And by the way, Joe was a competitive runner, open water swimmer, and obstacle course racer, so he knew what he was doing. And he was also running with his friend at the time, so they had only gotten separated for a few moments when Joe was never seen again. A massive search ensued with over 15 dogs, 200 people on foot and on horseback, an infrared-equipped airplane flew over the area, a $10,000 reward was posed for information, and they didn't find him until a year later, when a pile of remains were found, DNA testing was done, and it did indeed, sadly, turn out to be Mr. Keller. We have the case of a man by the name of Dale Stelling, who in June of 2013 went for a hike in Mesa Verde and was never seen again. An exhaustive 2-week search was set off that included as many as 60 rescuers plus helicopters whose efforts unfortunately came up empty. In 1991, a Boy Scout went on his very first overnight camping trip with his church in the San Bernardino National Forest. 12-year-old Jared Negrete was with 5 other scouts and their troop leader when they left the camp to climb up a high peak. Jared fell behind the group, with differing reports having him either wandering off the trail, falling behind, or stopping to tie his shoe. Whatever the case, he was never seen again. Rescue teams as far west as Malibu searched around the clock, eventually turning up Jared's backpack, some candy wrappers, and a camera. Of the camera, 12 photographs were developed, mostly containing landscapes, but the last one was of Jared's eyes and nose, taken after he went missing. Finally, we talk about the case of 8-year-old Douglas Legg, who was setting out on a family hike wearing shorts, a t-shirt, and tennis shoes when his uncle got concerned that he had come across poison ivy and sent him back a short ways to their cabin to change. The boy was never seen again. Then we have another case of a boy named Kenny Miller, who was a developmentally disabled boy who disappeared in 1992 when hiking in the Sierra. Now, what's very interesting about this case is that although the boy was 12 years old, it was said that he had a mental capacity of that of maybe a 4-year-old. And so when he disappeared, once again there was an exhaustive search, where later they actually did discover his body. What was strange was that they found it at the very top of a rocky mountain peak, standing at some 10,000 feet elevation. And so the question was, how was it that this severely mentally disabled young boy could have reached and been found in such a far away and high up part of the mountain? And so these are just a few of the thousands of mysterious and unexplained disappearances that occur every day in our national parks. And we're still no closer to finding the culprit. Now, of course, people go missing. The national parks can be a dangerous place. But as Mr. Paulides found out, there is something that is just not right here. Something is being covered up. From the circumstances surrounding these disappearances to the eerie silence of the park rangers and the very National Park Service that employs them. So if you guys would like to know more, do check out the Missing 411 book series, Let me know what you guys think. Have any of you guys had your own strange occurrences in these national parks? And what is your theory as to what is going on here? Let me know down in the comments below. Share this video, subscribe on your way out, I really appreciate it, and stay tuned because I've got a lot more coming, and I will see you all back in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.